Well, hello. Oh my gosh. Hey guys. It's been a little bit. Only like a hot second if I'm, well, honest. But yeah, sorry about that. I kind of got busy, I think is the best way to put it. I got a little busy and so yeah, but I'm here now and I have like 2 hours of footage for you guys. So don't you worry. Don't you worry, there's plenty of stuff for us to talk about. And if I run out, we'll start going into Reddit stories. I don't know, I'll start doing ghost stories or something. Um, I think that's it. Yeah, so I'm not gonna edit the voiceover, so treat this very much like an unedited podcast. And I think without further ado, sit back, relax, enjoy 3.5 times speed of me running around in the game doing menial tasks and stuff. Um, Grab a snack, grab a bev. I've got my bevs over here that I cannot wait to just intermittently drink. Can't wait for that. And yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know how to get into this. So like, super cool. I kind of just, like 2 weeks ago, I compiled all the footage onto my editing software, as I normally do, because I do that. And I saw that I had, like, not a lot of space left, which was a little concerning, I'm not gonna lie. But, like, you know how it is. Oh well, I'll deal, I guess. So I kind of fixed it real quick. And I just, like, moved things over to my, I wouldn't say flash drive, but it's a memory card that I've been storing all of my like raw footage and edited footage on. So that's what I've been doing, right? And so I put it on there and I got myself some storage back. And then I promptly didn't go back on to editing anything again. Or if I did, it wasn't this. So there's that. And it's kind of funny because this is actually the easiest project I have right now to edit. But moving on. So I haven't really touched this in 2 weeks. And I got really busy with work because working 2 jobs is just so glamorous, right? And then the second week was so fun. It was like my birthday week. I say like and was as if I'm not sure, but I am sure it was my birthday week. So I went out to Newport and Portland and had a blast. I actually wrote down my entire itinerary / agenda. So hold on to your hats, guys. Um, yeah, so for Newport, we went to the Oregon Aquarium, Yaquina Bay Lighthouse, and also just like Yaquina Bay. I assume it's pronounced Yaquina and not Yaquina, so don't roast me. We went to Georgie's and then Nye Beach, which is just like an access point. Was an absolute blast. I actually have photos right about here. Sorry, I have to mark that for later. And then a few days later, I went to Vancouver, Washington for Raising Cane's because there used to be a Raising Cane's, but I'm not so sure there's one in Portland anymore. And then we drove to Portland, which is just kind of backtracking, and went to Old Chinatown for the Shanghai Tunnels tour. Which, if you're unfamiliar, the Shanghai Tunnels is a series of tunnels under Portland, Oregon, where way back in the 1800s, they were used to Shanghai sailors and young men to get them onto boats and stuff. And I can talk about that way more later. Trust me. I did some research. I thought it was pretty cool. And there was a lot of facts that got brought up on the tour as well, but I won't spoil those facts for you because I feel like you have to enjoy the tour yourself, like that's just crazy if I did that. And then after the Shanghai tunnels, went to the Leica exhibit because there's a Leica movie coming out in October, I believe, and it's centered in Portland, and it's got a lot of like focus on like Portland areas. So like the St. John's Bridge is in it, and the oh man, there's it's the mansion. I can't think of the name specifically, but there's a mansion out in the upper area out by the Portland Zen Garden and the International Testing Rose Garden. And I can't think of the mansion name, but it's very famous. They do tours. That's also featured in it. It's actually really, really interesting. And then I finished that whole day off with going to see the Six, the musical Pro Shot at a local theater near me. And that was pretty cool. And then I kind of also just like worked intermittently between those days. So, gotta say, 10 out of 10, very fun week. I would recommend it. And then, yeah, actually, that's kind of it. And then now we're here, which is pretty chill too. Don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely loving it. Yeah. And now I kind of just have like thoughts and like discussions I've had over the past couple of weeks. So, still hoping that this takes me like 2 hours. Otherwise, this is gonna be a little awkward. I mean, I'm only at like, 8 minutes, 7 minutes, so fingers crossed. I've watched a couple of things. I've started shows. I've ended shows, which I know is crazy because it's like I'm really bad at finishing TV shows unless I've already seen it. But I've finished 2 shows, which I guess is kind of, or no, I finished 1 show. I'm almost done with the other. But then, like, again, I've also, like, seen these a bajillion times. But I guess I'll just, like, I don't know. Actually, hold on. Bear with me, guys. I think I'm gonna just, like, run through what we did because it's, like, you can kind of see, but I don't want to get too far, and then it's like, oh, like, you figure it out for yourself. Especially if you're just listening to this, which you could be, which is totally fine. So currently, what the plan was for, like, these sessions, because I think it was, like, in total 8 hours, broken up over 3 sessions. So I'm so glad I could condense it down to you guys for about 2. There's also some stuff that I just, like, didn't record either because I was, like, busy. I just didn't want to record it. I thought that would be crazy, so I didn't do it. But very quickly, we continued building the fence and the gate, got the materials for that, was very happy with it. I made farms, worked on them, and I traded with villagers. And so that's kind of why it's super condensed, is because it was a lot of just like tedious and menial work. Very mind-numbing to the point that I kind of got bored through it. So there's that. Later, off camera, I did play around with a couple building styles for villager trading halls and villager breeder. Ordinarily, I would be like, oh, I'm going to use a normal villager breeder, but unfortunately, I feel like that's just too much for what I'm doing. And I honestly would rather just throw down a boatload of beds and call it a day. So that's what I'm doing. And that's also why there's no face cam. I feel like that should be, added, if that's like a concern for somebody, is like, oh my god, she didn't show her face. It's just because it was 8 hours, and like I started to feel like dookie towards like hour 4. So, and like I was getting food and water in between. Like there's like times where like the camera cuts back in, and that's just because like I was recording again. But like it was just, I don't know how to be like, it was just consistent and very like mind numbing of a task, which we love. And so I also just felt that like not everybody wanted to sit here and watch 8 hours of regular time speed when it came to building and trading and farming and like all of that stuff. But hey, you know what? If that's actually of interest to you, let me know, and next time I'll just upload an 8-hour video instead of doing it like this. I have no qualms. I mean, I'll probably still like, I could probably still voice record over it. I just don't know what I'm going to find 8 hours worth of stuff to talk about, but I'm sure there's something. Okay, so yeah, that's out of the way. Sorry, I have like a little docket of like the stuff that I wanted to talk about, because I was like, I've been, adding things to this little list over the past like 2 weeks, so bear with me. But yeah, that being done, means so much to me, because then I don't have to worry about this anymore. Ooh, actually, while we're on the topic, I feel like this is pretty like consistent. I told my coworker about my super flat run, because we were just like discussing about how like we're both back into like our Minecraft phase, and while she's on a server, I am not. Well, I guess technically these are all servers, but like regardless, I'm not really on a public server, so if anything, this is more private. But it was very, very funny, because I was like, oh yeah, I started a super flat run, and she was like, are you even able to defeat the Ender Dragon? And I'm like, absolutely you can. It's possible. Because, and I mean, I'm gonna run through it real quick, but like, frankly, I feel like pretty straightforward. I already talked about it once, but don't worry guys, I'll say it again. All you gotta do is find a village, trade with villagers to get armor, and find blacksmiths and other villagers to get, obsidian. Sorry, my brain lost it there. You get the obsidian, you build the nether portal, you go through the nether portal. The nether isn't affected by the super flat world. The nether is still like the nether. So you obviously go and you fight the blazes. You get the stuff that you need for that. And then because there's now gold in the nether and you don't have to worry about trying to find gold in the overworld, what you do is you mine the gold ore in the nether, combine it to make the gold ingots to trade with the piglins. You trade with the piglins to get the eyes of enders, but we don't really need the eyes of enders to find the stronghold, because we already know where the stronghold is in our case. But sometimes if you haven't found it yet, that's when you would probably use the eyes of enders to, like you would in a normal run, you would use the eyes of enders to find the stronghold. You go to the stronghold, you build up, swim up, whatever. You place down the eyes of enders. For us, I'm pretty sure we're gonna need all 12. That's okay. And then you jump through, you fight the Ender Dragon, wha-bam. Only thing is a lot of the time when you're playing on a regular world, you have access to the mines, you have access to more materials, more things to like make the game easier. I intentionally did super flat because I wanted it to be difficult, but I also didn't want it to be too difficult where like I couldn't beat the game, which is why I'm not like playing with mods, because I feel like that would be too difficult for my first time defeating the Ender Dragon. I'm sure if I were to do another series again, I absolutely would do mods, because I love playing with mods. Mods are fun. It just didn't fit in this scenario, so I said, you know what, okay. And also, I need tech support to help me download mods. I'm not really good at figuring it out. Like, I have so many Java instances, it's not even funny, and I feel like each Like, I don't even know how to get rid of those. Can I even get rid of those? Like, I'm so I was literally asking what VRAM was. Like, my friends are so sick of me because I'm so oblivious when it comes to technology. Yet I talk out my ass when it comes to it. And I'm always like, yeah, guys, I got you. Thumbs up. So, yeah, I was explaining to her, like, it just requires a lot more time and, like, energy and brain power and trading. Oh my god, hours of trading. Because it's not like the villagers instantly reset every, 30 seconds. No, that would be too easy. And I mean, I also have them currently in a spot where they can't, like, they can freely roam, if that makes any sense. So, frankly, it's probably my fault. I'm not gonna lie. But, whatever. It's fine. It's just a lot of work and a lot of, oh my gosh. Hopefully the series will be done before December, because it's gonna get a little awkward if I'm still doing this in December, because there's gonna be a little hiatus while I get things settled. So there's that. And that's also a discussion point marked off. Oh my gosh, guys, we're really getting through them. This is concerning. Reddit might be coming out later. I will say, when when I was doing just like the building and stuff and like the menial tasks, having stuff in the background helped out immensely. Like, I think I was watching a couple TV shows and movies while I was running through and running around just doing stuff. And it's very helpful because it just lets me turn my mind off. So I really did, like, appreciate that I got the ability to do this. Because, frankly, it was quite a lot. I believe I watched NCIS New Orleans, I think, for, like, majority of it, and then I switched to The Tick towards the end there. And then over the past 2 weeks, I was just, like, catching up on The Tick, and I finished it, like, a couple days ago, which I forgot how stupid The Tick was, which, okay, should preface, it's not the 2007 one, it's the 2017 version, and I kind of just, I don't know, I forgot how funny it was. I mean, there's, like, a lot that I could say about it, and I probably will never do, like, a video on it, so frankly, I don't really mind talking about it now. But I find it so funny, just, like, the characterization of all of these characters, because it's, like, it's such a joke, but I find that it's actually almost so literal when it comes to, like, the way that these characters interact, because it's, like, it's a comedy, and it's meant to be funny, but, like, the background plot and, like, the defining plot devices are so good. Like, the terror just being, sorry, headphone users, you're gonna want to turn me down a little bit. The terror just being such a little shit for, like, the entire first season, and spoilers, and then, like, the way that he goes out in the end is just so satisfying. And I guess, like, Arthur's like, he's not the bronze, that's the Tick, he's the brains, obviously, but even then, Arthur and the Tick share, like, one common brain cell half the time. Sometimes Arthur gets two, and then you're like, oh my god, Arthur, you're actually making sense here. But it was just, oh my god, dude, such a crazy series of events. And then also, remembering that Alan Tudyk plays fucking Danger Boat is just, oh my god. Like, just knowing that the goofs and gags are like, oh yeah, there's a gay boat who's attracted to Arthur, and I mean, granted, he routinely makes Arthur uncomfortable, like, a lot of the time. But that kind of goes away towards the end of season 2. Um, or, like, okay, I mentioned this one time when I was watching the show with my mother way, way back. But the relationship between Arthur's sister and Overkill is so strange to me because I almost feel like it's like trying to be romantic and yet also is trying to give you like a mentorship kind of like a mentorship and like a apprentice train like relationship, but it doesn't really work very well because Dot, I feel like, already has like that like familial bond kind of taken care of, so you're not really like needing to see Overkill in that like role. But like a lot of the time I go like, are what was the thought here? Like, did they think that like if they got a season 3 they were gonna try to make, Dot and Overkill become like partners? Because it felt more or less like they were trying to go for like a female male friendship, and then they failed because it felt like there was some flirtations going. I don't know. That's how I perceived it. And so when I brought it up, my mother was like, "Oh, that's gross. He's very old." And I was like, "That's never stopped anyone before, dude. Have you seen Twitter? Like, that's never stopped anyone." And like on the contrast, I do actually love the fact that like Arthur doesn't really have any kind of like love interest, unless you count the tick, but I'm not counting the tick. Fuck that. But like, when you really look at it, he doesn't really have a love interest. He's kind of just Arthur. He's figuring himself out. And I love that. I love that so much. I think I think it's definitely like, I don't know. It's just something that I've noticed a lot when I watched it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's chill. Man, it was such a crazy watch, dude. I'm so bummed that they didn't renew it for that season, for the next season, because there were some questions that I feel like should have been, that should have been asked, but, or maybe not asked, but like, sorry, my brain's not running full speed. There was some questions that I had that I was asking that weren't really being answered because it just doesn't make sense. Also, we've reached the point where I got my first freaking pillagers, dude, and those guys hurt. And I realized right after, because I thought that I was gonna instantly get the effect, and I didn't. And that it's actually in a bottle, which is pretty chill because that means that I can summon a raid whenever I want. So I didn't actually need the milk, which was lame, but whatever. We move on. Yeah, the Tick though, that's a really good TV show. I highly recommend it if you can. It's a Prime show. So I mean, if you have Prime, do it. If you have Netflix, it's on Netflix right now. Otherwise, I mean, there's a thing you could do, but technically it's a crime, so like, don't do it, But like, you have free will, do what you want. And I was also I've been watching Firefly again. Oh my god, dude. Oh, Firefly's so good. I forgot how good it was. Okay, it's like a space cowboy drama and I love it. Oh my god, I love it so much. I have the title song just blasting in my brain. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I love it so much. Truly one of the best shows ever made. The fact that they didn't get renewed for a second season and they only got like an hour and a half movie. Oh my god. Okay, favorite characters. I really don't like Jane. I want to start off and say that like Jane, low key, pisses me off a little bit. I don't like Jane a lot. Jane makes me so mad because he's always so quick to just like dip out. And as cute as that is, I'm not a fan. Can't say I'm a fan. So yeah, don't really like Jane. But I love how they all interact with each other. Like the way that Simon and his sister are like very close. Granted, she's recovering from mental abuse problems and shit that happened where she was. But like just like how close they are is really cute. I love Zoe and Wash. I think that's pretty cute. I think they're just so freaking adorable, man. They're such husband and wife goals. I don't know, man. And also, Wash is such a good pilot. And look, I'm not going to spoil anything for Serenity, but man, if you've seen Serenity, you know where I'm going with this. I'm so upset by that decision. I feel like that was the wrong one, but that's just me. That's just me. That's just my opinion. You know what? Take it for what it was. Or for what it is. But like, oh, their relationship. I love the brother-sister relationship between Kaylee and Mal. Dude, so cute. They're so adorable. I love them. I love the fact that like she joins on the, I wouldn't say heinous plans, but like sometimes the plans aren't the best. You know, you got to give me that at least. I also really, really enjoy Shepard's relationship with everybody, but especially Inara's, because Inara is technically a, what's a really nice word for her? She's an accountant. She's an accountant, or a seamstress. That's a really good word for her too. And I don't know, I think the relationship with God versus like such a job enshrouded in like filth, and that kind of really just goes against what a lot of the Bible's about, is such a good relationship. Like you have this man who's, I mean, but he's actually really, like, I gotta say, like, he's not the best shepherd, you know, could be a better disciple of God, if I'm gonna be honest, you know, as just somebody who used to be a Christian, like, could be better. But I love the relationship. I love that he's always like, God, like towards the end of the season, I really just started to love him so much because like he had kind of like ingrained himself in all the relationships. He was really just like there. He was such a team player, dude. Oh, I love that. Kaylee's so adorable. She's such a cool mechanic. I like her character. I kind of, I feel like towards the end, her character kind of became more about, like, being with Simon than, like, just being a cool, badass mechanic girl. But that's my opinion. You can't get mad at me for that. I really wish that, you know, the character growth and development for her was less rooted in trying to appease a boy and more about just, like, because she wanted to be cooler, she wanted to learn more. I still think that, like, her character wasn't very male focused. I just think that, like, at times it could be. And again, that's just my opinion. But, yeah, loved that. Oh, it was so good. And River and Simon's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool doctor. He's pretty much a badass. I do love, there was like one episode where we like really got to see his doctor chops, if that makes any sense. Like, because he, you know, was a doctor back in the I'm gonna call them the inner planets because I can't think of what they're actually called. But with the inner planets, he used to be a doctor. And you know, he gave it all up for his sister. And it was really cool to see him, like, kind of have that, like, I wouldn't say suaveness, but more of like confidence, you know? Because he's really out of his depth so often when they're out in the black. You know, he's not a pirate. He's not a thief. He doesn't do that. So I loved it. I loved it so much. And River is just, even with her having so many problems, I just love the fact that, you know, she's so cool. Like, she predicts things. I love the eccentricities of her character. I don't even know how to pronounce that if I did it right, but I don't care. I love her so much, and I really, really enjoyed her in Serenity, the movie, not the spaceship, or the first episode of the TV show. I should preface all of this. I really loved her in the movie. She was such a badass. And it was nice that we could kind of like start to see that a little bit there of like now that she's further away from all of that, like she's finally growing into her own person. I loved it. Yeah, it's just such a good TV show, man. Really just love the fact that it's like cowboys and space, and honestly, those really do go well together because space is a frontier that we haven't really explored yet, and that's kind of the exact same thing that happened with cowboys way back when, is we hadn't really explored much of the Wild West, and you know, that's kind of how we got them. And it's how we got outlaws, and it's how we got petty thieves. And I really like to think that, like, with Simon and the Shepherd and River coming onto Serenity and, like, becoming part of the crew, they kind of gained more of a conscience. Like, I wouldn't say before then they didn't have a conscience, but I just think that, like, because Simon and River and Shepherd all kind of have more of a moral compass than they do, they kind of helped like redirect them back onto a morally gray plane. You know, I feel like before they came on, you know, the direction the ship was doing, all these jobs that they were pulling was not really gray and more of like a dark gray, almost black, and at least I think now it's back to being gray again. I'm sure also it helped that Inara was there to like talk sense into Mal and whatever, what have you. Whatever their relationship was doing for majority of it. But I loved it so much. I forgot how good it was. And oh my god. Sometimes it was, because I was watching these at work, sometimes it was hard to like put my phone down and like do my job. Yeah, it was, ooh. Man, it was so good. Also, I forgot about some of the things that happen within the movie, or not the movie, the TV show, like because of how it's set up, there's, I can't recall if there was any original source material that they were pulling from. It's something for like a dieharded fan, I guess. You know, like I'm not really a diehard fan. I enjoy it. I enjoy the show, but it's like not something that I'm like, oh my god, I really enjoy the show. So I can't recall if there's original source material. But I do absolutely love the fact that when cursing, they switched to Mandarin, which I mean could be taken as like a weird thing, you know, like why would they do that? But I think it's a very eccentric and almost like creative way, because honestly I gotta say a lot of the details I feel like are almost in nature Chinese. Like some of the dresses we see looked, I think, close to, I don't want to mispronounce this, but I probably will, but like close to Chiphouse. And I probably said it wrong. Or there was like, in the bunks, there was like posters and stuff with like script on it. So it's like, I think the original source material does inherently take a lot of creativity and creative ideas. I can't think of the word again, I'm sorry guys. Does take a bit from Chinese culture, and I know that that's really negative, but in my opinion, as a white person, it doesn't look like they're doing it out of maliciousness. It never really appeared like they were doing it out of maliciousness. I want that known, is that it looked like they were being extremely respectful, besides the cursing in Mandarin, but like, again, look man, this is a show made in like the late 90s. I can't change it. But I don't know, as somebody who like, God, I feel like I've got myself in trouble. But I don't think so. I just think that, like, it's a neat idea to kind of pull a little bit from culture and look at it. But I just can't recall anything about the original source material off the top of my head. So I'm not sure if, like, that was a choice made by Joss Whedon or not. Little break. Finally had my first freaking villager trader show up. And I've been planting the trees a little bit there, but like, oh my god, guys, I don't think you realized how excited I was when I first saw that guy. And then I saw another one like 20 minutes later, and I was like, what the heck, y'all? Back to topic. Yeah, okay, hold on. I did a little bit of a rough cut here, but while I was taking a few minute break because I was speaking for like 40 minutes there. I know it says 36 right now. However, there was retakes and stuff in between. So let's call it 40 and call it a day. So while I was taking a few minute break, I actually did some research. There is original source material for the TV show. I believe it's books and comics. Don't ask me what the production companies are. I don't know. So that kind of answers that one question. Another one that I looked up was like the inherent use of Mandarin and like Chinese imagery in the show. And earlier I know I was like, oh, they really like did a lot, but kind of looking at it now and like reviewing it, I do want to retract that statement and say that they kind of use it to like paint over and like make it okay. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, these guys are racist. I don't think it was intended to be racist. I think it was just like oh, that's a neat idea. Let's use Mandarin as, you know, the swear words and have like an Asian American fusion going on. I also should preface and say that you, as a viewer, I wouldn't be super upset about the use of this imagery because first off, the show was made in 2002. So I have to say it was a product of its time. And I fully recognize that that's such like a white thing to say, you know, and I'm trying to cover my own butt here a little bit here too, but frankly, if I'm gonna be honest, there's more important things in the world than a TV show that has 14 episodes and a movie that was created in 2002 by Tim Minear and Joss Whedon that features Nathan Fillion, Alan Tudyk, Morena Baccarin, and loads more names in the science fiction sphere, right? So just like off the bat, yes, it's kind of like a little messy. Because originally, and apparently this is all hearsay, this is all scuttlebutt, whatever the heck you want to call it. I'm not too sure. I just know is like when I did a quick Google, not checking facts, not checking resources, not checking anything. When I Googled it, it was saying that like Simon and River were supposed to be played by Asian characters, and that never ended up happening because the casting directors chose white actors, but that's like the whole point with the last name Tam was like, oh, it's very, I think somebody said it was Chinese implied or like Chinese sounding. I'm not, or like Cantonese sounding. I don't think I understood what they were saying, okay? Frankly, my brain was like kind of lost when they were talking about the casting part, and I was like, oh shoot, wait, what? But I think somebody said that it was like Cantonese sounding or implied for the last name Tam, and so it was supposed to be, or like it was supposed to like work out that way, and it just didn't. And then another person was talking about how like Kaylee was supposed to be Asian, and then she never was casted Asian because her current actress was amazing, and they casted her instead, which I completely agree with. I think her current actress is amazing as well. Obviously, in retrospect, I think it would have been great had there been more diversity in the show, especially because we're using Mandarin to cuss, and we're seeing imagery that's got Cantonese scripture or Mandarin scripture. I don't know the difference, okay? I'm sorry. We obviously didn't get that. And I still stand by the fact that, like, I wouldn't throw a crazy amount of fuss, but, like, you do you guys. It's just, this show was made in 2002, you know. They're saying they might do another animated show, that it's, like, in the works, but it's, like, it's been 24 years since the last thing. Let's say 23 years since the last thing got done. I don't think it's going to be on the forefront of anybody's minds right now. But, hey, if you got the free time and you want to complain about it, go right on ahead, please. Please do so. I cannot wait. That sounds very malicious. That's not intending to be malicious. I'm just being serious. I just don't know if it's going to go very far. Hold on, I lost my pencil a while ago. Yeah, I'm trying my best. I mean, I really hope that what I'm saying isn't coming off like negative or anything, because it really shouldn't be taken negative. Like, don't hear my words and go, oh, I shouldn't kick up a fuss about this. I feel like you should always kick up a fuss, especially when it comes to racial profiling or intonations, especially because that's such a thing that, like, white people get away with all the time. Don't let us get away with that. But I'm just saying is it's like you may not get very far, because this is a show that was made in 2002 with a movie made in like 2003, 2004, and it hasn't hit anything since. It's on Hulu and Prime, I think. And like, that's kind of what I'm saying, you know? It's like, and you know, if you're gonna have any problem with anybody, have problem with the writers and the producers, because those guys kind of made like the final decisions there. I wouldn't pick up a fuss with like Alan Tudyk for playing Wash, or Nathan Fillion for playing Mal, or Morena Baccarin for playing Inara. Like, that's all I'm saying. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about this now, because I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here. Okay, yeah, so, moving on, I also have been watching Ted Lasso, which I doubt anybody's surprised about, but, I really, really wanted to hate it, like, really badly, and I can't say I do, so that's its own problem. I'm absolutely excited to see where the season goes. I don't really have anything on it yet. Like, I don't have any, like, problems. I mean, there's some stuff and I'm like, dude, this could have been fucking resolved, like, the third season. Like, the whole ending wasn't necessary. But, like, whatever, you know? Whatever. It's interesting to see how, some of the relationships have, like, survived since the ending, and, like, how they look now. You know, that's pretty cool, I guess. Look, man, I don't have much on it, because, frankly, it's still coming out. Like, the second episode's out. When this drops, the third episode should be out, but I won't see it until, like, a day later, because I don't have time to watch it the day that it drops. So it's just, like, you know, I just don't got it. I just don't got anything for it. And that's alright. Um, um, sorry, I'm still looking at my thing. I mean, I watched Zootopia 2 out of a whim, and oh wow, I mean, the colonial underbelly of the story about, like, just like the fact that, like, the story directly reflects colonialism was really good. I mean, dude, it was such a good movie in that regard, but I still can't, like, sit there and, like, watch it too much because, like, oh, dude, how do I explain this? Okay, so, like, because they're technically cops, it still feels like cop propaganda. Propaganda, however the frick you want to do it. And so it's just, it was like kind of hard to watch. There was funny bits, like I did chuckle a bit because it's like, yeah, that's funny. But like, oh man, I just sat there and I'm like, okay, so the cops, these two cops are good cops, and the rest of the cops are bad cops, except only a couple of them are bad cops because they didn't really actually realize that they were taking orders from the bad guys, but in all reality, it's like most of the time the cops do know. It's kind of how it goes. Like there's a lot of police corruption in the world. I'm not going to get into it, but like we've seen it. You've seen it, I've seen it, we've all seen it, and it was just, I don't know. That aside, it was okay, you know? The fact that they're doing a third movie, though, because I saw the D23 announcements for the other day, the fact that they're doing a third one is crazy. That's wild to me. But, I mean, I guess they want their money. I mean, they're doing a Frozen 3, so, which, I mean, that one does look more interesting, but I don't even know if I can stomach that one, because that one's gonna be rough. Yeah. Some of the... Really, you're gonna hear in a second here a whole rant about how much I hate TV shows these days. Not because, like, they're bad, but because they just, like, repeat themselves so much. Like, it's really hard to talk about these TV shows and movies coming from these production companies when I'm well aware that they're just trying to get money. Like that's all it is. It's just like profits and dollar signs and dude, this is just like we're getting some new TV shows. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that like Lanterns, that's coming out soon. That I think it's different. It's definitely not the same as a lot of the other stuff coming out, and I think that's attributed to the fact that James Gunn is a part of it, or has some sort of part of into it, just because he not only led us with Superman and Supergirl, but like just he's right now taking the DC world by storm. Okay, but then on the other hand, you have the NCIS series, okay? There's NCIS Los Angeles, there's NCIS New Orleans, there's NCIS Hawaii, there's NCIS Australia, there's NCIS Tony and Ziva, there's NCIS whatever the rookie one is, where they, have old stories from when Gibbs started out. Like, sorry, that was my water bottle. But like things like that I feel like is ridiculous. Like we don't need all of that, At some point, we reach we reach somewhere in the story where it's just repetitive, where it's the same things over and over and over again, and it's so exhausting. Okay, it's exhausting watching anything right now because frankly, we've all seen it before. Partly, I think this is a problem attributed to the fact that production companies and just cable companies or whoever really helps produce the things that sits in the writer rooms or gets the pitches, They only think about the profit margins. They don't think about the creativity, which is why it's like you should support, all of these indie films and TV shows coming out, like Minimum Wage, which started out as a indie TV show on YouTube, and then they got picked up by Netflix, and now they're like set to air soon and like release episodes, which is really great. And they have, oh shoot, what's the guy's, I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter. But like indie TV shows or indie films like Obsession or Iron Lung, like it's so important now, I guess, to really be looking at the indie films, because it's like there's just so much regurgitation happening right now in Hollywood that it's actually driving me insane. And also, I think another factor of it is the fact that they keep reusing the same 20 popular people. Zendaya, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, like all of these very famous actors and actresses, which don't get me wrong, like they're famous for a reason. I'm not gonna like discount the work that they've done, but there's also, other actors and actresses who are just as good, who are undiscovered because they're not a big name, because they got into the game too late or something else. Like it's just, at the end of the day, it's just really hard right now to like watch anything or see anything new. Like I avidly avoid going to the theater unless it's something that I just absolutely have to watch. Like the pro shot of Hades Town, because I knew that like if I didn't go into the theater to see it that day, I knew that Hades Town was going to come to an end. They don't have anything released digitally or physically, so it's like I knew there wasn't really going to be a shot to me, like, for me to watch the pro shot again until they figured something out. And I mean, now that we have the information that, like, they are coming to some sort of streaming service, I can't remember which one. Could be Apple TV, could be Prime, I don't know. I don't remember which one it was, but they're coming to a streaming service, so which means that there's might be a likelihood that there's going to be a pro shot DVD. So it's just like, some of it's kind of working out, but it's just like, it makes wanting to go to the theaters sometimes not really worth it, because, the price that it is at the theater is, $17.99 per ticket, and then you've got the popcorn and stuff, or you just go in there and you raw dog it. Like, I don't know, but it adds up fast. And I'm gonna leave that rant there, because frankly I feel like if I keep going it's gonna be messy. So there's that. Let's see. I mean, on another note, I only have like a little bit here left on my paper, so I'm just trying to figure out like if there's a way that I could stretch this out more, because we're not even an hour in, and we still have an hour to go. So we may have to read Reddit stories here in a second. That's okay, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so off screen I grabbed a couple Reddit things to read through, because there's so much time and I did not think this through. So maybe I won't do this again. So yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy the next part where we get to discuss. I get to talk about it. You don't get to talk about it. You can talk about it in the comments. I don't care. But I get to say. Okay, so this one's from r/malicious compliance. It's titled, "My professor said follow the formatting rules exactly or lose points, so I did." And then they said, "This was sophomore year, some gen ed English class I only took because I needed the credit. My professor, I will just call him Dr. H, was known across the whole department for being insane about formatting. Not the normal MLA or APA stuff. He had his own extra rules stapled onto the syllabus on top of that. Font, margin, spacing, where the page numbers had to go, all graded completely separate from the actual writing. About 3 weeks into the semester, someone asked what happens if you do not follow the formatting rules exactly. He said, word for word, because I wrote it down out of spite, that if you follow his instructions exactly as written, you get full formatting credit, no exceptions, no partial credit for close enough. Cool. Noted. So that weekend, I actually read the formatting section of the syllabus line by line instead of skimming it like everyone else did. 2 things jumped out. First, it said the title needs to be centered. It never said what the title had to say, just that it had to be centered. Second, it said your name needs to appear in the header. It never said how many times. For the next essay, my title was just the word essay. Centered, huge font because there was no size limit listed either. My header had my name in it 11 separate times because technically that still satisfies your name needs to appear in the header. I also put page numbers on every single page, including a blank works cited page that had nothing on it except number 7. Turned it in feeling pretty proud of myself, honestly. Got it back and he had docked me for formatting points with a note that just said unprofessional presentation. Next class, I raised my hand and asked him to point to the specific rule I had broken. He couldn't, because I hadn't broken a single one. I had just followed them further than anyone expected anyone to. Then I brought up his own quote from a few weeks earlier in front of the whole room. He was obviously annoyed but couldn't argue with his own words without looking ridiculous in front of 40 people. So I got the points back. By the next essay, the formatting section of the syllabus had basically doubled in length and every loophole I used was individually closed. 10 out of 10 would exploit a poorly written rule again. TLDR, professor said follow formatting instructions exactly for full credit. I took that way more literally than he expected. He couldn't dock me points without contradicting himself. Syllabus got rewritten within a week to patch every hole I found. Dude, that's crazy. I'm so sorry. What? What do you mean that you... Okay, so I finished college. I'll go back for university eventually, maybe when it's not $120,000 for 2 years. Right. When I was doing college, community college, still is accredited, I've never had a teacher go that crazy. I mean, because MLA or APA is your standard essay format. You shouldn't need to go past that. I fear that if you're adding more work onto it, it's ridiculous. That's crazy. Like, what? I mean, good for him for, like, I don't know, being petty, but, like, man, just the fact that there's, like, extra stuff for MLA or APA, which, by the way, already covers titles, headers, and page numbers. There's literally, like, I have a book around here somewhere that I use specifically for formatting, because I couldn't get the hang of it back in high school, so I had bought a book, and literally, comes in clutch, by the way. If I can find it later, I will bring it out because it's beautiful. But, like, those two already have, like, specifications for those 3 things in particular, so why would you have to add on more? Like, I feel like you were just trying to be a headache of a teacher to, like, not to, like, because there's teachers out there who just, like, don't want to give out A's because they're petty and they've got, like, this, like, malicious compliance going on. So it's just, like, at that point, I feel like that's what they're doing. But yeah, that's, oh my god, that's beautiful. See, now I'm missing university just for that stuff, but I wouldn't have the guts to do it. I mean, I was a pretty straight and narrow student, not gonna lie. Okay. The next one is AITA for banning my friends' kids from our lake house after she dropped them off unsupervised. They almost drowned and lost all my husband's gear. It's not very long. So, a friend of my husband called him and asked if her kids could go to the house to do some fishing. We expected her to come with them. They were supposed to bring their fishing equipment. She did not stay. She dropped them off and left. She actually dropped one of her sons with his friend, a kid that we don't know. The children forgot their equipment and took my husband's rods and fishing gear. On top of that, they got in the kayak without permission. I do not blame the kids, as they are kids. They went to the middle of the lake and flipped the kayak, almost drowned, and lost all my husband's fishing gear. The neighbors rescued them as I was not home yet or aware of this whole situation. She's now blaming it on the friend of her kid as she knows her son. I called her furious and banned her, the kids, the husband, and pets from the property, and demanded reimbursement. She is acting as if I'm being irrational. AITAH. Dude, what? Whoa. I'm sorry, that's actually so pretentious to just like. I mean, like, at least she called, but like, man, to just like show up on the property and then just assume that everything's gonna be alright without even asking, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because, like, I was raised with manners or like what, but like you ask. In fact, I asked like 40 times, like, hey, are you okay if I do this or I touch this or I do this or I do that? And usually they're like, yeah, go for it. Stop asking. But like the fact that you just dropped your kids off and then was just like, okay, kids, have fun. And then you left, weren't even there. Like, it's going to be very problematic if those kids were under the age of 18 because they're supposed to have like a guardian there, like, for when that happens. I mean, because they're kids, because kids don't instinctively go to call 911 or don't instinctively think ahead and wear life vests. Like, what? And then the fact that they used the gear that wasn't even theirs. What? I mean, man. Oh, and I love the excuse of knows her son. Are you kidding me? Dude, this is a parental error. You should have been there. You can't just drop your kids off in a random place, even if they've been there before, without adult supervision, and expect them to be fine. Especially when it comes to water, because first off, how do you know if the friends, or if the what is it, friends' kid's friend knows how to swim, or if the friend's kid knows how to swim? Like, what if they don't? Well, I mean, obviously they don't because they almost drowned. So it's like, what if they don't know how to swim, you know? And what if they don't grab life vests, which are I mean, depending on where you are. I'm saying this as somebody who lives in Oregon and Fish and Wildlife, and also state or local police gets a little upset if you're not wearing a life vest on waters, especially rivers or lakes. Like, where was the life vests? Like, what? And I mean, man, it's just the fact that like they just went ahead without permission is crazy. Yeah, dude, ban them. They shouldn't be allowed back. I mean, dude, what? I mean, some of these, and also mind you, some of these responses are like, NTA, report her for child endangerment and go to small claims if she doesn't reimburse you. And it's just like the fact that it's like, dude, why did you why did you leave? What? Oh my gosh. Like, I'm probably downplaying like what the general reaction should be here, man, but I'm just saying right now, like, you wear a life vest when you go out on the water, and you don't just drop your kids off somewhere. Like, oh my god, I'm thinking of all of the lakes and rivers I've been to this summer alone, where if we had seen, we meaning my party, my group, if my group had seen two kids, teenagers or not, just by themselves, it would have raised a lot of questions. Like, what? Yeah, dude, you are definitely not. No way, man. Wow. Okay. I hereby declare NTA, because I'm not about to say all that. Okay, what's the next one? Alright. Ooh. Nope, this is just the list. Okay. Ooh. This one's lengthy. Okay. AITA for telling my friend he can come to our outings, but his girlfriend with OCD can't. And then they preface it by saying that English isn't their first language, which is chill. We all gotta learn somewhere. So they say, I'll try to be brief. I, 20F, have a group of friends I've known since school. We don't see each other often anymore because adulting is chaotic, but we try to get together every 2 months or so. There's about 6 people on this group, including Mark, 22M, who recently got a girlfriend who I'll call Sarah, 21F. Sarah has bad OCD and has loads of rules to what she can and can't tolerate, which originally wasn't a problem. Some of us are also neurodivergent or have conditions that required adaptations, so we adapted our outings whenever she wanted to come, since she was polite and nice. Everything was fine for a few months until one of our friends casually asked about my dermatitis and if it was better. I have contact dermatitis, which is not contagious in any way, shape, or form, but it flares up often. Sarah heard it and deemed me a contaminated person. Ever since then, she's been treating me like I have the plague. She won't touch anything I have touched, won't sit near me, and will make a disgusted face anytime I'm around. Which at first I took. She has a condition, I don't care what she does. But she started doing it to other people, like warning people not to sit near me, and once at a restaurant told a waiter to be careful not to touch me when he handed me my glass, or he would contaminate himself and everyone he served. At this point, me and everyone in the group are incredibly bothered by it, and one of our other friends even told her and Mark that she can do what she wants, but it's pretty shitty to keep saying that to people. Here's where I may be the a-hole. We were planning our next get-together, and I told the group that if Sarah was coming, I wouldn't go. I don't deserve to be treated like a monster for something entirely out of my control and harmless to others and be shamed by it. Since the group was already bothered, we all decided that Mark was welcome, but we didn't want Sarah around until she dealt with that fear. He wasn't online at the time, so I texted him in private, explained that Sarah was making everyone uncomfortable, and we prefer she didn't come until she could work through at least not telling everyone not to touch me. I also said we understand if he didn't want to come without her. She's his girlfriend after all, and he has to support her. Well, a few hours later, he blew up, called me an ableist a-hole, said Sarah had seen the messages and hadn't stopped crying, then blocked us all when he saw the group agreed. Am I the a-hole? Should I have not said anything to the group and just pretend I didn't hear it? There's an edit to this. Oh, there's 2 edits to this. Okay, perfect. That's amazing. Dude, what? Oh my god, these are crazy. I've never, gone to this side of Reddit before. I'm usually on, the tamest stuff, but man, oh my god. Bro, what? Okay, so I can understand exactly... Oh, sorry, guys. Didn't mean to whack ya. I can understand the whole, mental illness and, constantly, having these rules that you have to set for yourself. I understand how OCD, OCPD, how it all works. Is she getting help? Is she going to a therapist for this? Because it sounds like it's starting to affect her interpersonal relationships a lot more. Because if you can't, if a thing like dermatitis, what was it? It was contact dermatitis. If you can't even talk to somebody or be around somebody with contact dermatitis, something that's not lethal to you, and I understand how the brain works. It's going to deceive you and make you believe that it is. And if you're not getting help for that, you really should. Because I feel like that this is something that she needs to be talking to somebody about and getting therapy for. Because you can't wander through life like this and expect there to not be repercussions. Because frankly, this is a repercussion. Is because, it's starting to affect their interpersonal relationships and it's starting to shame the writer. They don't want to hang out with them anymore. And that's fair, because I wouldn't want to hang out with somebody who constantly shames me, who has publicly told people numerous times not to touch me, not to be near me because I'm contaminated. It's just... And, I understand, again, that this is, a mental illness and that it's, not fully her fault. But, again, you can't expect everybody to just be, okay with that. I feel like it's not a bad take to say that, like, maybe you need to go see a therapist and try to work with, this mental condition that you have where it's affecting everything in your interpersonal life and your partner's interpersonal life, because, like, again, they had stated too, they were trying to be, like, respectful, and they also understood that, like, hey, if you as the boyfriend, don't want to leave your girlfriend out of hangout sessions, like, that's fine, you don't have to come, but we just don't want her around. I mean, that makes sense, you know? I mean, I don't think anybody here is, like, the a-hole. I think, frankly, there's people who are, like, tired and miserable because they keep, feeling like somebody's just, like, continuously picking on them and, like, saying negative things about them, which they don't like hearing, because, nobody wants to hear something negative about themselves, even if we're not talking about, like, truthfulness or anything. Like, nobody wants to hear that, like, oh, they're a contaminated person. Like, that's pretty messed up. I mean, like, if you were to change out contact dermatitis for, like, HIV, that's wrong too. It's like, that's, like, there's just so many, like, there's just, like, one of the few things that, like, you shouldn't be saying to somebody, no matter how close you are. Like, saying contact or contaminated person, I feel like would only be funny if it was, like, a cold, if I walked up to my friend and I was like, oh, we've got a contaminated person here, like, and they have a cold or the flu, like something that's, like, an ailment that, does have, what's a likelihood of being spread. But it's just like, wow, man, I look at these and I think, man, my problems aren't that bad, actually. My problems are pretty chill. They're very chill in comparison to this stuff. Oh my goodness. And it's not even the fact that it's just one person, it's the entire group. Like, I feel like at that point, you have to listen to, like, what everybody else is saying and going, like, hey, dude, you guys need to have, like, these conversations or something. Like, something needs to happen before you guys can, like, all hang out again, because that's crazy. Yeah, definitely, I dictate that this is not the a-hole. And I really hope that she gets help, because, or, like, if she's already receiving help, that, like, she can work on this, because, frankly, this is, like, a problem, like, as somebody with, like, my own mental health struggles and issues, like, I mean, again, probably nowhere near as close as this, this sounds like severe OCD, but it's just, like, if my friend were to come up to me and be like, yeah, I really need you to stop making, like, suicide jokes or whatever, or, like, just jokes in general about, that kind of stuff, I'd listen, because, it's, like, making my friend uncomfortable. And I feel like, because, and again, this is, like, not the same thing, obviously, but it's, like, I feel like the girlfriend here needs to, like, consider other alternatives to treatment if whatever's going on isn't working. I don't know what's going on with the girl. All I know is that the girlfriend should maybe seek help, if possible. If that's a possibility, she should do it. Okay. Here are the edits. Okay, so edit 1. They say, so that post certainly gathered more attention than I intended it to. I already saw one of those voiceover videos about it, lol. I just wanted to thank everyone for the responses, especially the people who broke it down for me a lot. It helped me see that, although some things could have been handled differently, I wasn't overreacting. Our next hangout is in 2 weeks. We're all currently still blocked, but I'll make sure to post an update in the subreddit if anything else ever comes of it. Edit 2 is, I also like to add that some people were questioning me and saying this is a rage bait post and using OCD for engagement. I didn't expect it to blow up at all, and do not mean to minimize issues with people with OCD that go through it. I genuinely wish you all the best with managing your symptoms. I'm not a doctor. I only said that Sarah has OCD because she told us that. I don't ask people for their medical records. Also, someone sent me a DM saying this is rage bait because my English is good. Thanks, I guess. Yeah, I didn't feel like edit 2 like or that was a problem. I didn't feel like they were using it for engagement. It just genuinely sounded like the partner's girlfriend had a OCD and wasn't handling it very well. And I mean, if she told you that, I feel like I feel like that's important though to the story. Like this isn't like a normal. I mean, I can't look, normal's overrated, but this isn't like a socially normal story. Like this isn't like something that like none of these stories that come onto this subreddit are normal. So it's just like what? There's a comment that I think kind of wraps this up really well. That says, unfortunately, she's making her fear not just everyone else's problem, but is actually being rude and bad-mannered about it, and I cannot understand why she doesn't know that. OCD doesn't make you rude, and her OCD is her condition to manage. Her boyfriend can support her all he likes, but it doesn't make her behavior right. So, NTA. And I agree. Somebody also says, NTA, the OCD doesn't compel her to publicly shame you, which is, I think, the problem that I've had this entire time, is it's just like, what do you mean you go to restaurants and she tells the waiter not to touch you when handing you your drinks or food because he could get contaminated and contaminate everybody else? What? Like, what? I'm sorry? So yeah, no, I fully agree. Not the a-hole man. What? Like, and I've seen some strange things too when it comes to like those with OCD, like they'll wear gloves or they just like make sure not to touch. But I've never seen somebody with OCD who's got that kind of like voice, or like that problem with that thing in particular, who's just like publicly shaming you like that. Like, that's crazy. But I also think we should like really consider here, like, yeah, man, if everybody else has a problem with this and it not the boyfriend or obviously the girlfriend, dude, you guys need to like rethink some stuff. Ooh. Okay, cool. And then I've got another one, and then if I need more, I'll find more. Okay. This is another one on the subreddit AITA, because subreddit on AITA, because this one I feel like is the most compelling, and also, I'm so serious right now, guys. Mostly my subreddit is full of like photos and like reactionary, I don't know, memes and pictures from things, so that's not really compelling. Maybe the last one might be. I don't know. Okay. What time? What are we at? We are at 1:18. Okay. AITA for forgetting my boyfriend's coffee creamer and being upset about how he handled it. My boyfriend, 40M, and I, 35F, have been together about a year and are seriously talking about marriage. I have ADHD and struggle with forgetfulness and task switching. We've discussed him having patience with me, and I recently got reassessed to restart medication. He works hard and contributes a lot at home, but forgets things too. I don't assume that means he doesn't care. The night before our errand/reset day, he was working overtime and I was meeting a friend. I had 15 minutes. He suggested Target, so I started a pickup order and he asked for creamer. Then I had to leave, switch tasks, and forgot to submit it. Later, he asked for a beer and snack. I got his beer, made a sandwich, and picked him up from work, but I forgot the creamer. The next morning, I got breakfast while he slept. We had no creamer, so I ordered Starbucks for our drive to pick up his son. We were having fun. Before leaving, I asked if I'd have to get out because I was in PJs, slippers, and messy hair. He said no. On the way home, he remembered the creamer. I suggested stopping. He pulled into a gas station. Okay, go. Me, what? Him, go get the creamer. I reminded him he'd said I wouldn't have to get out. Coldly, he said, oh, well, too bad, go handle it. Felt like a scolded child. I went inside embarrassed and trying not to cry. They had no creamer, so I bought milk. I stayed quiet in front of his son. At home, I told him I felt humiliated and punished. We've discussed that I don't mind being asked for help, but sometimes I feel ordered around like a son. He said I seem resistant when he asks for help, and because he asked for the creamer, forgetting made him feel his requests aren't important to me. I explained I'd started the order, got interrupted, and forgot. When he forgets things, I don't assume he doesn't care. I want the same. I said it sometimes feel like he needs to make an example out of me when I've hurt, frustrated him. He admitted there was truth to that. This isn't the first time. He describes it as holding up a mirror. If talking doesn't make me understand how I affected him, he feels I sometimes need to experience the feeling myself. To me, that's, if you hurt me, I need to make you feel some version of that hurt so you understand. I know ADHD doesn't erase the impact of my forgetfulness, and if I make him feel unheard, I want to work on that. But I don't think intentionally upsetting your partner in return is healthy. He apologized, but something still feels off. Talking about marriage is why I'm looking at this differently. I don't expect for perfection. We both forget oh my god, guys, I'm so sorry. We both forget things and get tired and irritated. That's life. But I don't want a marriage where one person decides the other's mistake was intentional and then punishes them to make a point. I also don't want to dismiss his perspective if I genuinely make him feel unheard. AITA. Is holding up a mirror an unhealthy habit we can work through or a bigger red flag? What the hell? What? Dude! Oh my god! Girl, get out! If you can, get out! Holy crap! First off, it was an accident, right? It wasn't like it was an intentional thing. She wasn't trying to, intentionally forget. It happened. It was an accident. Like, I do the groceries in my house. I go out and get it. Whenever I forget things, I'm never met with that response. It's usually like, oh, it's okay. Can you pick it up tomorrow? Or like, can you get it later? Never this, or like even if I'm out with people I live with, it's never like this. Oh my god, babes, I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, he fully is in the wrong here for that. Because what do you mean that you needed to hold up a mirror to have her feel what you feel? Doesn't feeling bad shouldn't that already be enough? Why does she need to feel humiliated? Why does she need to feel embarrassed? If she already feels bad. If she already, is frustrated with herself because she forgot something that was apparently important to you, even if it wasn't important to her. Like, why? What about it is so important that you need to make her go through all of that? And like, I personally have no shame in what I'm wearing in some stuff. Like, I've worn pajamas out. I have a very fond memory of wearing a onesie out to Walmart with one of my best friends. And I forced him into the onesie too. So it's just like, I've worn weird things out, and I don't really feel as embarrassed, like, and at the end of the day, I'm minding my own business. If you're gonna stop and stare at me, like, that's your problem, that's your prerogative, I don't care. You do you. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not hurting myself. Like, I'm literally just in line to get Oreos. Okay, and not the regular ones, the Oreo Thin Mints. Okay, because those have less frosting, which means they're less sweet. Just putting that out there. Okay, so end of the day, like, I don't care what people say. I mean, I've gotten comments. I've literally remember walking into Lowe's with a hoodie and a pair of shorts on, and I remember hearing an older lady behind me saying something about, like, oh, I guess that's like what the kids are wearing these days. And it was very obviously meant to, like, make me feel ashamed of myself and like what I'm wearing, but I don't care. Like, I'm going to wear it, you know? Especially because at the end of the day, I'm only here to grab like 2 items, and then I'm gonna go home, where you don't matter to me, where whatever you're doing isn't my prerogative, so I'm gonna move on. But the fact that he made you get out in your pajamas, which you already asked was and said that you didn't want to get out in because you don't feel ready, which is fair. Some people need certain things to make them feel ready in the morning. I understand. And then the fact that you like get nonverbal, dude. Yeah, I would feel humiliated too. What? Bro, you aren't. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry that this happened to you. And the fact that this is like a year and then some marriage, or not marriage, but relationship, and you're talking seriously about I wouldn't. Because like what's to say he's not going to do this again in the future? Like, if this is his go-to, you know, that he feels that his words aren't enough, that he has to humiliate you and hold up a mirror of how he's feeling. Dude, it's creamer. Do you know what creamer is? It's milk, sugar, and some sort of flavoring. You can make that at home. Are you kidding me? Also, mind you, by the way, if you guys were already out, you could have put in an order. Why did he make you go to a gas station? Why couldn't you place an order for Safeway or Walmart or Target? Like, what? All because he wants to humiliate you and make you feel even worse than you already do? Because it's not like you don't feel bad enough already. And also, think of the example you're setting in front of your kid. Like, the fact that your kid's witnessing this too? Are you kidding me? Like, what? Dude, it's creamer. If I forget creamer, I just go a day without creamer. Boo-hoo. I'll pick more up at the store later. Like, why are we placing such importance on creamer, of all things? It's not like this was medication. It's not like this was insulin. It's not like this was anything that was, like, severely important, like water or, I don't know, like toothpaste. But even then, I feel like you can just share for a day. Like, if you're together for a year, you can share your toothpaste, your deodorant, not your toothbrush. That's too far. But like, why? What is so important about this creamer that it made you feel humiliated that she didn't get it for you? Like, dude, go get help. And also, yeah, dude, girl, if you need to not marry this man. He's not going to change, obviously. But also, it's like, if you don't want a marriage where one person, you know, decides the other's mistake was more intentional than it was, and then just, like, punishes them for it, this isn't going to work out in the long run. Like, he's going to do this again, and again, and again, until either you leave or something else happens. And at that point, it's just like, you should just leave. But the fact that it's just, like, holding up a mirror. Bro. Oh, hey, somebody in the comments also pointed out, like, the son seeing the dad treat the stepmom like this. It's like, yeah, dude, no, you should. Oh my god. Okay, so in the comments, the poster added, because there was like a discussion about like the son, you know, we don't know how old the son is, but if he grows up seeing his dad, you know, treating the stepmom like this, it's gonna be bad for like the preteen teen years, just because, you know, like that's what they're seeing, so they're gonna model that behavior. That's not something that most parents want, or you shouldn't want that as a parent. I wouldn't know. I'm not a parent. But I will say is some of y'all kids are crazy and they model your behavior and they see how you treat people. And so if you, you know, talk back to the waitress or whatever. Like, that's kind of a problem. But the poster says that the kid's a preteen, very sweet and kind kid. Sad thing is he heard the argument, and when I came out of the room and asked me if I was okay, and said he thought what I told his dad was right, and that he had been trying to tell his dad for years that he's bossy. He was eavesdropping outside since the window was open. I asked him how much he heard. He said pretty much everything. He asked if we were going to be okay, and I told him it wasn't anything for him to worry about, and that we just had some things we need to talk about. Which, like, kudos to the stepmom, because, like, thank you for not telling the kid anything very important about that, because, like, some step-parents do, and that adds stress onto the child. But also, it's like, dude, this is concerning that, like, even your kid's trying to tell you. Like, what? Yeah, like, creamer is such a small thing. If it was medication, I could, and especially, like, important medication. I'm not talking, like, over-the-counter ibuprofen. I'm talking, like, antidepressants, allergy medication, like, things that could genuinely, inhaler, things that could genuinely, like, make your life very, very negative very, very fast. Insulin. If you forgot those things, that's one thing, you know, because that's like that's an immediate, like, we need to go. Like, this can't, like, I could see maybe being upset. I could not see humiliating them like that. That's crazy. But it would very much be like, first thing in the morning, we're getting our butts up and out, and we are going to go get those because those things are important if we can. But the fact that it was creamer of all things, is like, bro, what? Dude, you can make your own. I've literally... Also, you don't even have to have creamer. If you have milk and sugar at the house, you're fine. Like, I've literally sacrificed a couple of my days when I visit family because they don't have creamer, but they have milk and sugar, and so I just say, okay, this works, and I pour milk and sugar into my coffee. Like, it's not that deep. Creamer's not that important, dude. What? Okay, if there was a little pause, it was because I found some more. Okay, so I've got some more AITA, unfortunately. Next time, if I do decide to do this next time, because, God, I don't know, there's quite a lot that's happened so far, but, next time I will definitely, find others that aren't just AITA. And that's okay. So yeah. Excuse me. Okay. Alright. AITA for deliberately giving my chronically late friend the wrong time. I, 20F, have a friend who is chronically late. I'm not talking about 5 or 10 minutes either. If we agree to meet at 6, she'll usually show up around 6:45 or 7. Goddamn. We've talked about it so many times, and every time she apologizes and says she'll do better. It's caused problems before. She was almost an hour late to another friend's birthday dinner, and we lost her reservation. She was also late to a friend's going away party and missed most of it because everyone had already started saying their goodbyes. Once she was supposed to pick me up for a doctor's appointment and showed up 50 minutes late, so I had to take an Uber and still ended up missing the appointment. I had to pay a cancellation fee to reschedule it. I can name at least 20 such instances from the top of my head. The thing that really gets me is that if someone else is late even by 10 to 15 minutes, she will sometimes make a huge deal about it. It's happened maybe twice, so I don't want to exaggerate it, but it definitely feels hypocritical given how often she's late herself. At this point, our friend group has basically learned to expect it from her. Last week, a few of us were going out for dinner. We had a reservation for 6:30, so I told everyone to be there by 6:15. She said she'd leave her house at 6. At 6:20, she's texted saying she was leaving now. I was honestly fed up, so I DM'd her that the reservation was postponed at 7 instead. Everyone else knew what I'd done. We got there at 6:15, had dinner, and when she finally showed up at 7:35, she was obviously pissed that we'd already eaten. She asked why I'd lied to her, and I told her that when I gave her the actual time, she doesn't show up until an hour later anyways. She said that she was completely different. Oh, sorry. I apologize. She said that was completely different and that I deliberately set her up to be late. She also said she trusted me to give her the correct time and that I had no right to teach her a lesson. I told her I was tired of constantly waiting for her and having everyone else's plans revolve around her lateness. She called me manipulative and said she doesn't want to make plans with me anymore. AITA. And there is an edit to this. Wow, that's crazy. As somebody who is like perpetually afraid of being late by even like a few minutes, um, and has had like some serious like problems with that, like not getting into that, dude, that's bizarre. The fact that it's never even more than like 5 or 10 minutes, but it like jumps to like 35, almost an hour, dude, that's completely crazy. Like, not only is that a disrespect and disregard to your time, but everybody else's. I'm concerned because you said that there was a restaurant and they had to cancel the reservations. Sometimes fancy restaurants that you make reservations to, you have to pay a fee for. That would have set me off. I would have just been like, eat. Just eat. Exclude her. Because, like, obviously you don't want to show up on time, so you obviously don't want to have food with us. Like, I feel like that could be the takeaway. And maybe that's petty of me, but I feel like if you have instances that aren't ever repeating either, it's never like the same exact, oh, they were late by 35 minutes to a dinner reservation. They were late by 45 minutes to, and it's things like I asked them to take me to the doctor's and they were late by 50 minutes and I had to get an Uber and I still missed the scheduled appointment time. That's crazy. Or, a going away party and you show up close to the end. Are you crazy? This doesn't feel like it's time blindness. This is just like, what? No, you're not. You're not. I hereby declare not the a-hole. You're not, because, like, how do you justify that? Oh, sorry, I was busy doing something else. If you didn't want to come and you didn't want to show up, why did you agree to plans? You should have just said no thank you. That's wild. Also, I love there's a person in the comments who mentioned the line, and she said she doesn't want to make plans with me anymore, and they go, "Oh no, the horror. Whatever will you do?" And then they were like /s, and then NTA. And I also, it's just like, dude, oh, you don't want to make plans with me anymore because I lied to you after you were late by more than 35 minutes this time? So I just told you the reservation moved to 7? Oh, you don't want to make plans with me anymore? Oh, man. That really sucks, having to no longer wait an hour for you to arrive to our scheduled meet time. Oh, man. That's a bummer. Like, I've had friends show up late, and it's never, like, often enough, I don't think, for it to ever be a problem. But, like, if it ever was a problem, I'd hope that, like, they'd hear what I'm saying of, like, hey, man, you're always late to whatever we do, no matter what. And it's starting to become, like, a noticeable pattern. Like, is there a chance that you can show up on time? Like, please? Or, like, do you need a ride? Because usually if, like, they show up late, it's like, oh, because they need a ride, And so I'm always like, hey, if you want a ride, like, I got you. I'll drive. Even if everybody's my passenger prisoner, like, they're getting a free ride out of it, so they don't really get to complain. And not seriously anyways. So this is just bizarre. But there's an edit to this, thank God. Okay, so, edit. A lot of people are asking why I don't just give her an earlier time. We actually tried that. We tell her things started 30 minutes earlier, and eventually she figured it out and started treating that as the fake time, too. At this point, the entire friend group is just exhausted. We've all waited for her, missed reservations because of her, rearranged plans around her, and heard the same, "I'm sorry, it'll never happen again" speech dozens of times. I think everyone was pretty much at the point where nobody wanted to keep accommodating it anymore. I know lying to her wasn't exactly mature and kind of petty on my part, but honestly, I was frustrated and wanted her to understand how ridiculous it feels when someone constantly treats your time like it doesn't matter. That's a fair assessment. I mean, I don't think it was that petty to lie to her. I mean, yeah, my question kind of was gonna be like, have you tried the whole like hour earlier thing? But if she's figured it out and she started treating it like a game, yeah, I too wouldn't want to keep accommodating that. Like at that point, it's like, dude, seriously, like get a watch. Find something that's gonna make you do what you need to do on time so that way you're not making and this isn't like one person, it's just like everybody, so you're not making everybody else go through this, because like that's pretty disrespectful of like everybody. You're disregarding their time, you're disrespecting their time, like that's crazy, and I feel like it's such a self-centered thing to do, to just like make every situation an event about you by being late. That's crazy. That sucks. But I mean, it sounds like maybe she'll change. I don't know, man. I don't think she will, but I mean, if she was upset, maybe she'll stop being late. I don't know. That's holding out hope though, so can't always be right, right? Okay. Next one. Sorry, I was a little parched there. Okay, this one's interesting. AITA for telling my alcoholic friend to get sober before even thinking about having kids. Which I feel like is interesting, because you tell that to somebody, or you talk to somebody who's considering getting pregnant, and sometimes, I don't know. Alcoholics are weird, man. All right, it's a disease. All of it's a disease. I, 33F, have a friend, 34M, who is an alcoholic. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. He has been drinking 4+ nights a week since he was 19. And I'm not talking about having a beer with dinner kind of drinking. This is drink until you throw up, then drink some more kind of drinking. My friend has lost jobs, friendships, and relationships so many times from this. He knows he has a problem, but hasn't taken the steps to get sober. I'm sorry. He knows he has a problem, but hasn't taken the steps to get sober. I am the friend that has stuck with him and the person that he calls drunk at 2 a.m. I have offered many times to take him to meetings and always try to support him in getting sober, but I know it won't happen until he wants it to. He has a girlfriend who he has been with a couple of years. She spent the first part of the relationship partying with him and has spent the last year or so trying to get him to get sober. She got him on that prescription that makes you sick if you drink. He took it for a week and almost ended up in the hospital. He went to a single meeting and then didn't go back. He has been doing better with his drinking lately, which means he has not been missing work or doing anything too crazy, but is still drinking almost every night. Well, his girlfriend just turned 30 and she has baby fever. He told me that they are officially trying to have a kid. My reaction was not what he expected. I said, how can you even think about having a child when you can't go more than 2 days without drinking? How will you take care of a baby when you're drunk almost every night? He's pissed that I'm not happy for him. He said the baby will be what finally pushes him to stop drinking. For the record, he drunk dialed me that night of this conversation, so I know he hasn't quit yet. AITA, should I have lied and pretend to be happy for him? Bro! Oh my god! I'm so sorry, headphone users. What? Dude! Okay, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor at all, but I've seen some of those videos where they discuss, like, the negative effects of, like, drinking while trying to get pregnant, like, what that does to the sperm count, as well as just, like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, we've grown up watching the movies where the drunk dad is there all the time. Like, we know. Right? Like, I know, you know what that's gonna look like. Like, you're not gonna properly take care of the baby because you're too busy drinking. You're too busy being hungover. All of that jazz, right? I mean, first off, this sounds like it's not really being planned well. Because it's like, what do you mean? Like, the fact that she's even, like, remotely wanting to try with him is crazy. Because, like, he didn't, hold on. He didn't stop for you. What makes you think he's gonna stop for a child? Second of all, completely agree with a lot of the comments where they're like, the girlfriend's gonna be doing all the work. Yeah. I mean, even after pushing out the baby and stuff, she's still gonna be like the one that's waking up in the middle of the night, the one that's feeding the baby, the one that's burping, you know, like all of the stuff that like the baby needs done because he's gonna be too hungover or too drunk to do anything. And I think what's just like so funny to me is the fact that like, okay, he tried, because I mean, funny, not like not haha, but like, bro, what? Hypocritical, kind of like, this is absurd funny. Okay, so you tried to quit numerous times. You've taken medication and then stopped because you almost went to the hospital. And you think that's gonna work? Are you kidding me? Like, because as somebody who's seen recovering alcoholics, it's never pretty, and it's messy, and it sucks. But I think the thing that's absolutely absurd to me is the fact that he's still drinking, even after wanting to have the baby, even after, like, trying with his partner. First off, I don't think you should be trying unless you're married, because I feel like that's a marriage kind of privilege, because, you know, that means that, like, you said that you would want to be there for forever. I understand that marriage can tie you down, whatever, I don't care. A baby can tie you down. You know, marriage has all the tax perks. Like, you should probably, like, get married, but the fact that you haven't gotten married yet, I feel like there's a sign there that's being missed, you know? And I think it's interesting that, like, first couple of years that they were together, you know, she was also with him partying, but then she got sober. So she was partying for the love of the game, and he was partying for a reason. And frankly, I think I think he needs to go to therapy. I think he needs to see a freaking shrink, a psychiatrist, whatever. Because, gotta say, you don't drink that much for shits and giggles. You're not drinking 4 beers, puking, getting drunk again. Like, that's like some serious, like, you're doing it because it's making you feel better and you're relying on it as a crutch. You shouldn't be relying on it like a crutch. Not like that, right? So you need to get, like, help. And the fact that, like, the friend's taken him to AA meetings, has always offered to take him to AA meetings. I think, frankly, he needs to go into rehab. Like, he needs to be admitted to rehab. Because it sounds like he's functioning right now. But it sounds like he's not functioning at serious times. And it sounds like he needs to see help. And the fact that the girlfriend's still there is, I think, what's astounding me. Because it's like, girl, have more self-respect for yourself. Like, if he's getting drunk every night, dude, oh man, he must have, like, the worst acne too, man. Because, I mean, what alcohol does to the human body after so long? Dude, what? That's crazy. Oh my god. Also, somebody points out in the comments, someone who relies on the idea of making a baby to become sober isn't ready for parenthood. The amount of stress it brings will increase his chances of drinking due to stress. You are a good friend for being real with him and offering to help so much. Hopefully he gets his act together and can thank you down the line when he's in a better headspace. And I agree. Babies are not and should never be something you use to fix something else, you know, whether it's a marriage, a relationship, yourself, because that's a real person. That's a genuine, like whole person, and you're just treating it like it's an object that can fix whatever's wrong with you. Um, I don't think the posters, the a-hole, I think genuinely they're really concerned about their friend, and I would hope that, if I ever, if in any hypothetical world or this world, I don't know what's gonna happen in 10 years, 5 months from now, I don't know, but I hope that, like, if I ever got to a point where it was so dangerous that I'm puking and then going back to drinking, I would hope that somebody would check me into rehab. Sorry, I didn't mean to smack you. Um, I would hope somebody would look at me and go, "You're not healthy. You're not sane," and would just put me into rehab or force me into the car to go to AA meetings. Like I don't, because it's just like, especially if I'm trying not to, like if I'm just going, "No, I'm good." If I've only gone to one and this is a reoccurring problem, man. Yeah, you look at all of these and you go, wow, my life's pretty small right now. Oh. How long do we have? Oh, 7 minutes. Okay. There was this post that I saw called Ask Reddit, and it was, what's a physical object from 15, 20 years ago that disappeared so quietly that nobody even noticed it left? And I'm just gonna run through a couple of these because, I've only got about like 5 to 6 minutes left, and that's definitely not enough for another story, but definitely enough for this. Somebody says encyclopedia sets, they were expensive and there were a lot of them. We used to have salesmen that would come to our door selling them when I was a kid in the 70s. Somebody says disposable point and shoot cameras, which I will say, those are actually making a comeback right now because of the aesthetic that the old digital cameras provide. Like Vivitar, it's like a cheap digital camera brand. I have one, and yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's like resurfacing again because it has a very nice aesthetic look to it when you look at the photos that are done. Someone says zip disks and ditto drives. I don't know what those are, but I know what a floppy disk is, so I'll take that. Booklets inside of video game cases. Oh my god, physical video game cases. Sony, dude. Sony has got me messed up right now. Swappable mobile phone batteries. I didn't have that experience with them, but I also had a little slider growing up, so I don't really know. Oh, my favorite ITT, people not remembering that 15, 20 years ago was 2006 to 2011, not the 1970s to the 1990s. Yeah, but I feel like the 2006 to 2011, just there's not enough time, Let's just throw in an extra 30 years. Let's do 50. 50 years is fine. Manufacturer specific phone chargers. I can't say that I actually missed that. The red plastic spreader stick and the cheese and cracker packs. Dude, those were so good to chew on. The Humble paper map. I gotta say, man, I'm actually really into my GPS. Even if it does me dirty and puts me into back roads on my way out to, like, the beach or something, I don't care. Because I know for a fact that if I have to pull over and pull out my trusty map, I'm gonna get pissed off. Oh, interesting. Somebody mentions how okay, I could pronounce this wrong, but how ubiquitous ashtrays were. Is that, wow, okay, hold on. See, I don't know what that word means, and so I gotta Google her. Because I didn't do a good enough job. Okay. Adjective that means existing or seeming to be everywhere at the same time. Describe something very common. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I'm there. I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing the vision. They're saying that they see them all the time in antique stores, sometimes labeled coasters or like that, along the lines. I mean, smoking's kind of actually gone out of style for good reason. You know, it's not a healthy habit, so I can see why that would be pretty common everywhere, and pretty popular to just like find in an antique store. That being said, we do have a genuine problem with vaping and nicotine and Zyn and Chew because everybody's kind of moved from one thing to the other, and I'm sure in 20 years, or maybe even 5, it's gonna be popular again where smoking's a thing. I know Hollywood loves smoking. Don't smoke. It's not good for you. Don't vape either. Frankly, the way to go is like edibles. Don't do chew. Chew's gonna mess up your teeth. But like the way to go is edibles, if I'm gonna be quite honest. Like that's not gonna mess up your lungs. Anyways, rant over. Somebody says a ball mouse. Another says newspapers, which I agree with. I miss me a good newspaper. Those were so fun. I have a fond memory of being in the back of a car during an oil change at O'Reilly Auto Parts or any of the numerous places that does your oil and reading the comic strips. Oh man, those are the best. Okay. I've got like a minute or so left, so we're actually gonna kind of wrap it up here. Thanks for listening. I hope that this was an interesting episode. I hope that my takes weren't too wild or something. I know I kind of got a little crazy there with Firefly, but I hope that my words didn't like make anybody feel bad or I mean, if you disagree, fully understand. I just don't think if you're upset about, you know, Firefly not being the best with actually bringing in Asian representation, I think it's a moot point now because it's 20 years old. Nobody's gonna care. And that's kind of where I was just going with that. But thank you so much. Appreciate you guys being here. And it might be a little bit before I have another video out. I'm pretty swamped the next week or so. I'm gonna try to record, but voiceover and getting it done is just kind of hard. Okay. Bye!